Okay, so this is my 2016 little guy, Silver Shadow. It's February 23rd, 2023. And I've got a problem with water getting into the wood siding of the trailer from the bottom. You can see here there's a little bit of separation. This is kind of how I first started noticing the problem. Back here was a road repair I did when we were out last summer, 2022, to try and stop any more water from coming in. I basically used duct tape and then an over Gorilla Tape to try and seal the gaps so that no more water would come in. Now on the other side here, I've started investigating how I'm going to go about repairing this. So what I've done is I went along the bottom here, and there was a molding that screwed up into the wood, and of course, you know, most of the wood was rotted, so the screws came right out. There was also another metal bit of flashing that was glued to the base, and then a lot of putty was used. So over here, this was the, you know, sort of the molding cap, and this was the metal flashing, and you can see, you know, it's kind of a combination of putty and glue along the bottom. Was, I guess, supposed to keep the water from getting up, but as you will see from all this wood material that I brought out, some of which is still wet, it didn't work. So we'll see if I can show you what's going on down here from the bottom. Here I've gone through, after taking off the flashing and the molding and scraping away most of the putty, to reveal this channel here. Now there's still a lot of damage up in the side of the trailer, but if I were to try to replace all that, I'd have to, you know, take off this door, the scuppers, you know, all the lighting, all the top molding, and then probably cut through this cladding, and then, you know, try to run another board here, which you know, might be the right way to do it, but I'm looking for a shortcut. So if I can stop any more water from getting in, I think I can get several more years of use out of the trailer, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for. It's almost 7 years old at this point, and everything else is fine except for this. And part of the problem is I can't go buy another one of these. These are not really being manufactured anymore. So if I want to stick with, you know, the Silver Shadow, then I got to make this one work. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to try to find, you know, something to fill this gap, because I'll need it to be stiff here where I can attach some new type of seal. So one of the things I'm thinking about is this. This is just a piece of 3/4 inch PVC pipe. It's actually PEX pipe that I could put here and then try to reform a seal around the base of this. I could screw into the pipe, and it would provide a good surface to stabilize the siding. Not sure that's how it's going to work yet, but that's what I'm thinking right now. Here's the boss. She's come out to tell me everything I'm doing wrong, so let me stop and take a break here. All right. Well, after many years of searching, I've actually finally found a good use for a Dremel tool. A Dremel's a little small, you know, rotary tool. They give a lot of interchangeable bits to cut and saw and burnish and polish and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm doing is I'm finding that it works great up here. I'll try to clean this surface to bonding. Plus helps also a little bit with, you know, getting out some of the old adhesive. Right there. All right, well, I just reported back about, 30 minutes of plain air. So, anyway, here are the strips of PVC board that I cut to fill in the gap here where the rotted wood was. So we'll get down here. I've got them dry fit in place now. And I'm really happy to see that there's enough flare in the cladding to allow me to get a good clamp on here. So I'm really confident that that 3M polyurethane adhesive sealant is going to bind, these two products together now that I know I can get a good clamp joint on it and let it clamp, so I'll be able to screw in, the molding here. It looks like the thickness is about right. So pretty encouraged that that this is going to work out, and having a couple of days of good weather here to work on this is also very welcome. I got a little bit of more of the old wood to remove here. This, it's really probably fine, but probably we need to clean out a little bit more. I got to clean up these surfaces here, the metal, to make sure the bond is as good as possible. But anyway, I'm encouraged, and I hope we're getting a good angle. And I'm interesting to see how this gouge I put in the lens, what that did to my GoPro, which has been an incredibly rugged device. I've had this thing for, 15 years. I did one battery replacement to it, and that's about it. So, okay, so I didn't really show all these steps, but I've got another side to do. But I think I showed you these are the PVC little strips I cut to fill in the gap, and you can see here where I've clamped along the side. So I've applied the 3M polyurethane adhesive, to one of the strips, and placed it up here, underneath, and I've now clamped it down, and I'm gonna give it time to glue. So I don't know how long it'll take. Well, I'm gonna leave it overnight, and then before I come back with the other piece. But I got the other side to do some prep work over here. This channel has got to be cleaned out. I scraped off putty. I used the Dremel tool, I think I showed you, to strip that surface down as bare as I could, and all that was done to aid the adhesive in bonding to the metal. So so there we go. So again, the beautiful weather continues and making progress. Ta-da! All right, I got the other side clamped down now. I took the clamps off to the first side and relocated them here, and I'll show you now what's gonna be the next step. So here's the piece that I hopefully glued in, and then this is the stainless that I got from Lambro sheet metal, and you can see it fits really nicely. I'll screw it into here. Also put a speed of this adhesive here, but then right here is where we'll wrap that corner molding right around this edge. And so anyway, we'll see. But it's sort of coming together. But I'm hoping that that's a good bond. We shall see. Beautiful weather continues. Okay, it's another beautiful day, and so I'm in the process now of fitting in this section of stainless here. So, you know, I've got it sort of held in place by painter's tape, but I mean, pretty nice fit on the corners there for the most part. I'm gonna have to file a little section right here. It's not quite fitting flush, so I've got my file here. I'm gonna do that, but without that, I cut a narrow piece. It's gonna go here, and then I got the other piece down there. That's a hard thing to do. That's a hard thing to cut. You know, I used a jigsaw with a metal blade. I probably needed a finer blade, and I may go pick one up before I do the next cut, because, you know, this stuff can really whip around by a jigsaw, and that is basically a knife blade, so it would do some damage to a finger, which I can't afford. Anyway, so today I'm going to try to glue these. I was thinking about maybe just using some silicone, but I think I'm just going to stick with this polyurethane adhesive. I've got enough of it, even though I'm still missing one of the tubes I bought. So I'm going to glue that. And then, you know, these self-tapping screws that are supposed to drill the metal, they don't go through this very easily. So I'm going to drill pilot holes through this, and then the steel channel as well, and then put the screws in here. I would love to be able to use the existing holes, but the chances, there's no way I can get them lined up. So that's not going to work. It'd be too frustrating. So anyway, that's the plan for today. Okay, so after a lot of cussing and swearing, and I'll get to that later, we sort of got this stainless piece in. You know, I used my adhesive, and then these swear-inducing, self-drilling screws, which are, in my opinion, not worth a flying F. But anyway, so the second piece down in here went a little better. I mean, I did part of it to myself on the front. It was, I don't know, maybe a 32nd of an inch too long. And I guess, where's the sun coming from? Why can't, oh, that's back. I can't, you know, I had sort of assumed, well, you know, it'll just flex because it's stainless, but it does not compress very well. So, anyway, this piece went in pretty well. I think, now this piece here, a little bit of a kludge. I haven't got any screws into it. I don't think, I'll probably just put some when I fasten the corner trim here. But anyway, so this side is kind of ready for the corner molding now, which, you know, I'll have to get some butyl tape. I don't have any of that. But, you know, these things, I don't know if somebody can let me know how they're supposed to work. These square drive pan self-drill screw. So one thing they are not is self-drilling. You know, I, in some cases, drilled 3 pilot holes with increasingly large bits in order to get the things to go into the metal. And you know, fortunately, they still had enough purchase to hold tight. But I don't get what they're supposed to do, but they do not work for me. So I'm gonna have to go read up on how you're supposed to use these things. Maybe I'm using them in a wrong application. I'm going through a, you know, like a 28 gauge stainless and into just a, you know, piece of steel stock, a little bit thicker than that, but like that. So you know, it's fairly easy to drill through, but not with these screws. You gotta drill at least 1 pilot hole and up to 3. So, but I'm gonna clean up, you know, around all this trim with a razor blade and get ready to, you know, do a dry fit of the corner molding today. So that'll be exciting, because that's really, yeah, I hate to say the last step, but the last major step I've identified in the repair process. So, ta-da. Okay, big moment here. I am about to dry fit the corner molding. I know this piece is going to be too long. I had the guys at the shop cut it 10 feet because I knew that'd be long enough, but I'm going to have to trim it So, but I'm gonna just sort of see how it looks going in, and then measure it for cutting to length. But I'll be dogged if this is not looking good, baby. Look at that. Sweet. Yeah, that's going to have to be cut. Something like that. I'm pretty jazzed. Oh, crap. So take about 7, 8. $119, it seems. Actually, you have, yeah, oh, for goodness sakes. $119. Alright, I'm going to cut this and then we'll rejoin. Okay, so here's the corner trim dry fit into place now. And seems like it, it's pretty well. It's going to screw up into that PVC board there. There's a little bit of problem here because there's this little piece of sheet metal here is flared out. I can hammer it back in some, or I can notch it out or whatever, but I think that looks like it's gonna work just like I wanted it to, and be all nice and smooth there. So I need to go get some butyl tape because I'm gonna put butyl tape down in here all along the length, and then screw up through these holes to provide additional moisture seal that was supposed to be there when it was wood that, perhaps you might not need now that it's PVC, but I'm thinking I'll put it, although I do realize that'll decrease the overlap a little bit, from what now is a real healthy bite, probably back down to there. That's where it was. You can see where the caulk line was. So, but I think I like that little extra bite. So I may just put butyl around the. I don't know. Anyway, I got to go get some butyl tape. Then I'll figure out what I'm gonna do with it. But okay, so that side's done. Well, that side's dry fit and cut to length. This side still, has got to have the stainless put in place over it. It's not there. It's just got the PVC board epoxied in. Okay, so this is butyl tape. You can buy it at hardware stores, and it's for sealing stuff to keep water out. So what I did is I ran a piece of ran a piece of butyl tape down the length of my channel here, and it'll cover the screw holes. It's not quite as important as in the original install, you know, because that was protecting a piece of wood. This is just going to be keeping water out of a cavity that's filled with a piece of plastic. But, you know, always want to keep as much water out as you can, because there's still, you know, wood in the wall. So what I'm doing now, if I haven't lost my, almost did, lost my razor blade, is trying to get the as much of the old seal. You can see this line here. This was where there was a fillet joint sealed between, you know, that corner molding over there and this side. And my neighbor, who's got a lot of experience building, especially in caulking, thinks that's probably how most of the water got in. And so, of course, I'm going back like this, but every little bit of old caulk that's there, you know, it's got dirt in it, and it's gonna make it easier for water to find its way back in. So I'm going to clean that up as much as I can. I'm scraping it with a razor blade. May take a little piece of steel wool and wipe it down. May take some acetone and try to get it off. So I want to get it as clean as possible without spending the rest of my life trying to scrape this stuff off here. So that's what I'm up to now, and there we go. Okay, so I just went down here with a steel wool, and I am pretty happy with how clean this edge came. So I think, you know, after a razor blade and steel wool, I don't need the acetone. I mean, it wouldn't hurt, I don't guess, but it looks, you know, yeah, I think I'll do it anyway. I feel just a little bit of residue there with the hand, but pretty happy with that. So I'm gonna wipe that down with acetone, then I'm gonna fit that in. And I think what I'm going to do is run a bead of silicone along here, along this edge, so that when it fits up and screws in, you know, the compression will force the silicone up and out through the joint. And I don't know anything about caulking, but it seems to me that would leave fewer gaps than trying to apply caulk from the top. Because my hand is shaky whenever I use a caulk gun. It goes all over the place and leaves gaps, and then I try to run my finger and force it back in, but I don't know, it just seems like that would work better. Could be dumb, but I'm not afraid to try things. Well, there was a moment of panic because I forgot that I had to drill through this stainless steel down here. So I originally just started trying to drive these screws up through these holes, thinking I was going to the board, but I'd forgotten that the stainless was down there. But I just had to grab the drill bit and drill a few holes. So if you can see, I mean, this edge is looking pretty darn tight. Now, of course, you know, it's going to move, and road vibration and all. It's a little bit of a spot there, but I am going to be honest with you. I'm quite pleased with this. I like the mill finish on the silver instead of the finish that was there before. I got a few more screws to get in here around the axle. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to go about that. My problem is the drilling through the stainless. I would need a very long, thin bit, which I don't think I really have. So, but those can be done at a later date. I could go out and purchase such a bit. I had some masonry bits, but anyway. So that's that. And you know, my question is, it's like, it's almost 3. It seems like it ought to be 5, but I've still got to cut that stainless steel and epoxy it over here on this side. This side has really had nothing done to it except the polyethylene, whatever, the PVC board put in place. Anyway, so you know, it's too early to claim success, but I guess I'll say so far we haven't seen a solution destroying outcome. So we're still in a position for success, as Jimmy V would say. All right, well, we got the other side done now. So here's the captain's side. A little bit of gap there. I'll try to caulk. That'll be under the fender well. Then I still gotta get all this screwed back in. But here we go. Okay, well, we got another good day today. It wasn't quite as nice as the others. It's much blue sky. But in some ways it's better because I'm declaring victory. So, I tied my corners back in here because I had the PVC board here. I was able to drive and pull back, this bended molding. And this is aluminum molding that's just bent in shape. Put a little bead of caulk there. So I think the corner looks pretty tidy, probably as good as it ever looked. Here's the corner trim. And these rear corners were really nasty, so they don't look perfect, obviously, but I can probably get some more of that caulk off. That's where I over caulked it out on the road, and it picked up a lot of dust and stuff, so I can clean that up later. I noticed I got some separation on the floorboard here, so the rod had moved into the decking here and started to separate. I'd noticed it for a while, but I went ahead and ran another caulk there just to shore that up. So here's the other corner. It was the worst looking one, and I think it actually came out the best. I mean, those edges line up really nicely. And then, here's the corner trim along the other side, and then the front corner. So, I am pleased. And, if you have to do a similar repair, you can contact me. If I'm sure I didn't fully expose all the steps as I was doing this, because sometimes when I got into the work I just carried on. Still got to attach the fenders. I'm going to go ahead and re-grease the wheel bearings first while I got easy access to both of them, even though it's not quite time. No reason not to go ahead and do that now. Oh, look, here's a little Jameson cold brew whiskey coffee. I don't know. Instead we picked that up on the road somewhere. So now I just got to clean up my mess, put away my tools, stuff like that. I hate using a grease gun. If anybody's got any tips on how to use a grease gun and keep the grease off of you, then please let me know, because I have not figured that out. So this is Eddie Boy Blues signing off from the teardrop side rot repair video. Hope you have some happy camping out there.